Things often look darkest before a new beginning. That is why you must persevere and keep going. Have hope for the future. Have hope that new and beautiful things are on their way. Just because you can't see them doesn't mean they are not coming. In fact, they may already be here. You just have to shift your perspective. Write it out. Can you recall a specific time when things in your life seemed to be falling apart, but they were actually coming together in the most unexpected way? Take a moment to reflect on that now and record your experience. Affirmation 10. I'm here. It's time to take up space in this world. Know that you are worthy of the hopes and dreams and leadership positions that await you. You are deserving of great blessings. Now is not the time to shrink and hide. Stand up tall, be proud, and know that you are worthy. Write it out. How are you showing up in the world? Is there a talent or a gift you've been hiding? If you knew things would work out well, what would you do? What dreams would you pursue? How would your life look different? It's time to consider that. The possibilities are endless. Affirmation 11. I'm wise. There's a still small voice that guides you, and a brilliant intellect that leads the way. You know what to do. Never doubt the answers are there. They are waiting to be discovered, waiting to be uncovered. Deep inside, you know the truth, and it will set you free. Time for reflection. Think back to a time when you knew in your heart you needed to complete a certain task or make a clear decision. Maybe you realized you needed to end a relationship, apply for a new job, or have a difficult conversation with someone you loved. Either way, you felt deep down in your soul that action was necessary. Take a minute to recall that moment now. How did you feel deep inside when it was apparent that you had to make a move? Did you feel it in your gut? Did you have a knowing? Was there a stirring inside calling you to action? Explore that feeling now and try to remember it. That is the feeling of inner knowing. It is the eternal part of you guiding the way. Once you recognize what the sensation feels like, you can apply it to all areas of life when making important decisions. Affirmation 12. I am music. Your life is a symphony, and each experience is like an instrument that plays its part. Even periods of silence are like a part of a song. Learn to trust the process. Learn to appreciate the harmonies. Each sound is a part of a greater journey. Time for reflection. Focus on a time in your life where you wanted something so badly, but it didn't work out. Examples could be a relationship, admission to a school, or material success. At the time, it probably felt like things were falling apart and the world was an unfair place. However, with time and distance, perhaps you saw why things didn't work out and began to realize that what happened was for the best. What transpired was a part of your story. It was a soundtrack to your life. And even though things felt broken at the time, they were actually fitting perfectly into place. Try to remember that next time you don't receive the answer you want. Maybe it's not a part of your purpose. Maybe you have a greater song waiting to be sung. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the room. I'm doing well, and how are you? My name is Nicole Bowman. I am a psychic, medium, and intuitive artist, and I'm just reading from my book, I Am Spirit. It's a positive affirmation book with affirmations and writing prompts to draw those positive conditions into your life. And so periodically, sometimes I will come onto YouTube and I will read aloud from the book. And as people file into the room, we can begin to discuss things. We can discuss affirmations. We can discuss spiritual matters. We can discuss music, whatever is on people's minds. So I'm open to having a conversation and having a chat. And you can put anything in the comments that you would like. Um, and I'm going to keep reading. Affirmation 13. I'm art. You are a masterpiece. Your life and experiences are art made manifest. Even your perceived flaws and blemishes are a part of the divine tapestry. Never forget your brilliance. Hold on to the light. I'm going to stop there. I am going to stop there because I think about in my own life, for example, but I know that many other people may feel this way. Oh, hola Martinez. ¿Cómo está? How are you doing? So I'm going to stop here because I know there are many of us that, we may criticize ourselves. We may tell ourselves that we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we're not attractive enough, or whatever that might be. And a lot of times when we get caught up in our brains about what we should be doing or it's not being enough, it actually stops us from achieving our goals, right? Yes, you want to be proficient and you want to be efficient and you want to be good at what you do, but you have to allow yourself to progress and not get so caught up in perfection that you never even take that first step. I have definitely gone through that in my life where I've been overly concerned about every little minute detail or how I was perceived or how I was looked at or how people viewed me. And when you focus too intently on that, you miss the message. Oh, Fabio says, saludos desde Paraguay. Paraguay. Ay, perfecto. Gracias. Gracias. Estoy en los Estados Unidos. Desde Miami. Miami, Florida. Pero gracias. Yeah, so thank you guys for being here tonight. Gracias por tu soporto. I appreciate it a lot. Uh, ¿Cómo estás tu vida en Paraguay? ¿Estás bien? Life in Miami is up and down. Up and down. From time to time, I go to Mexico as well. Pero me encanta México. México is un país perfecta para mí. I love Mexico. It's a wonderful, wonderful country too. So I'm reading aloud from my book. Yo soy una intuitiva y una maestra de espiritual. Yo hablo inglés y español, pero mi libro es en inglés. En este momento leo mi libro en inglés. So I'm reading my book in English, but I speak Spanish too. But English is my first language. So write it out. What is your gift? Is there something you possess that makes you unique? It could be an obvious talent like singing or dancing or mathematics. It could be something more subtle like being able to cheer people up, inspire others, or lead a team to victory. We all have a gift that is uniquely ours. It allows us to be artists and creatives in our own right because no one can do it the way we do. If you ever feel like you don't fit in or you have nothing to offer, look to your gifts. Even the small ones make a big difference in the world. They are your contribution to this beautiful mosaic called life. Your presence makes a difference. Remember that. So, yeah, we all have gifts and talents and abilities. And as it says in the book, some of our gifts are more obvious than others. An obvious gift like singing or dancing, where a person performs. But there are certainly gifts where you're able to help other people, you're able to motivate them. Sometimes your gift is being able to see the talents in other people. I was watching a documentary tonight. I haven't finished it, but it's on Netflix I was watching a documentary about Selena Quintanilla Perez and her family. Selena was one of my favorite singers when I was a kid. I absolutely loved her music. I thought she was so beautiful and she was so talented and so many different things. And it was so sad when she passed away. You know, she was only 23 years old. And it was interesting because as I grew and as I evolved, as many Selena fans grew and evolved, you know, it dawned on us that we outgrew her. It dawned on us that many of us, obviously, now are older than her or older than she would have been when she was just coming into the American market. And so I was listening and I was watching the documentary where her family was talking about how they got their start. And for many people who are Selena fans, you know that they got their start out of sheer necessity because they didn't have any money. You know, it was the 80s, the economy was horrible. And so her father got the bright idea to revive his band, the Dinos, which used to be his band when he was in his teens and his 20s. And then the band became his kids. And so I'm at the part where they're just sort of they're still struggling. They haven't come up yet necessarily. And I'm watching it, but you know, para mí Selena Quintanilla is una cantante perfecta, y una persona grande. And just, she's a wonderful person. Just, I love Selena Quintanilla Perez. So if anyone has any questions or wants to talk about anything, we can talk about Selena. We can talk about what is going on in the United States of America today. There's so many things going on. We can talk about spirituality. If you have any questions or comments, you can put them in the comment section. And if you like this live, do follow me. And do, I think there's the capabilities to like the live as well or to share it on your social media. That's always a great help. But right now, I'm reading words from my book because I do think that, and I know from personal experience that affirmations are incredibly healing and they're transformative. And they are a special kind of magic where if you can get into the feeling space of envisioning that affirmation, you can embody it and you can feel as if that energy is with you right now. So, affirmation 14, I'm worthy. Open your arms wide and accept the divine gifts that flow into your life. Love, peace, and joy are within your reach. You are worthy of happiness. You are worthy of success. You are meant to live your best life, one that fully reflects your potential. Time for reflection. Are you currently doubting your worthiness? Do you question your ability to have success and get the job done? Maybe you're at a workplace or a relationship or a time in your life where things feel out of sync. Maybe you feel like you are out of your depth. During times like this, it is important to remember that you are in the right place at the right time. You deserve to take up space in the world. The blessings and opportunities that come your way are for you. Whenever you feel discouraged, say, I am worthy, out loud or telepathically. It is a gentle reminder that where you are is where you need to be. And I'm going to stop there. I'm just looking in the room to see if anybody has questions. Nobody does. I was thinking about this a lot. I go through this myself. I'm sure many people do. Um, Once you've lived a certain amount of life and you've had a certain amount of life experiences, you're then able to reflect on your choices. You're then able to see patterns of behavior. You know, if you can look back 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years or more, you can look at the choices you made that were right for you. You can look at the choices you made that were not. And you can ask yourself, who am I and who do I want to be? You know, I was thinking today about times in my life where if I could go back and make a different choice, perhaps I would have. Thinking about times in my life where I look at certain choices and I didn't feel great about them. Because when I step into the fullness of who I am as a person, I know that the choice I made in the time at the time While it may have served me at the time, maybe it was done out of survival, maybe it was done out of low self esteem or whatever was going on at the time. But that choice was not a pure measure of who I truly am. You know, sometimes we make choices based off of our limited viewpoint, based off of not seeing our full potential. I would say always make choices, or try to, I think, make choices in a way that will make future you proud, you know, because the choice that you make today, it will carry you. It will carry you for years to come. And all of the choices that we make, they're cumulative, right? But they have consequences, both positive and negative. So make good choices for yourself. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's singing next door. I'm right next door to a church. So periodically they will be having choir practice, or they will be having, I don't know, some sort of event. But right now, um, I'm actually in Mexico. And so right now is a holiday today. So there's a lot of events and a lot of gatherings, and a lot of people, are at home or they're not working. So many people are at church and different things. So, but yeah, Mexico is one of my favorite places to be, because it is kind of like a reset for me. It's calming, it's quiet. Um, I don't really do much when I'm here, actually. I don't really do a lot of sightseeing or anything like that. I normally just work remote with clients, do readings, write, work on new material, record music, record my podcast. Which, if you have not listened, I have a podcast called Intuitive Conversations. It's a podcast about intuition, spirituality, and growth. You can listen on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast. And if you enjoy it, please leave a positive review, a 5-star review, and positive comments, because that really helps the channel to grow and build momentum. It also pushes it up the algorithm to people who ordinarily may not listen to the podcast or know about it. So I always appreciate the support. Affirmation 15, I'm shadow. Light cannot exist without darkness. Things that are hidden must be brought into the light. Do not hide the less evolved aspects of yourself. Do not bury the parts of your life that appear to be perfect. It is through our imperfections that we become unique. It is through our weaknesses that we learn and grow. Light and shadow go hand in hand. There is love, there is light, and there is darkness. All are valid. All are holy. I'll stop there. Um, as human beings, we go through ups and downs, darkness and light. We may, through the course of a life, make some choices that we're proud of, others that we are not. We may have to pivot, we may have to turn around. That's life, you're learning. And as you grow and evolve spiritually, what I found is that the path, it normally is not a linear path. It tends to be more of a spiral. It definitely sometimes tends to feel as if you're repeating, right? Like, where I've been, I'll be again. But a lot of times, if things return to you, they'll typically return on a new and different level, where you can actually learn more, where you can experience more. I'm thinking about specifically love and relationships, especially, and unfortunately, maybe those of you who've gone through really difficult partnerships, possibly there was abusive partnerships, or just things that did not honor you, or you didn't honor yourself, or you didn't honor the other person. And sometimes people may come back around again, same person or in different form, to give you an opportunity to look at things with a different set of eyes. Sometimes it is an opportunity for a do over, sometimes. Other times it is a test, to see if you can move past that or align yourself with something that works better for you. Other times it is to see how you've grown. I think um, about our hometowns, for example. I don't go back to my hometown a whole lot, but I have gone and I have been. And sometimes, you know, even relationships can feel like a hometown or a small town. Who you were as a child, who you were as a teenager, a young adult. And then you go back and you see it with a very different set of eyes, and everything seems so small. Whereas at that time, when you were 5 or 10 or 15 or 14, it looked big, you know? So if anyone has any questions or anything that you want to discuss, you can just put it in the comments. I am watching the comment section and I am looking and reading from my book, I Am Spirit, Positive Affirmations for a Soulful Life. Soy Espíritu, afirmaciones positivas por una vida. Oh, I'm gonna do my book in Spanish. I'm not sure about the title. I don't know that Una Vida Buena sounds really good. I'm thinking maybe Soy Espíritu, afirmaciones positivas por una vida con alma, maybe, for a life with soul, maybe. We'll see. I'm still working on it. Right now, um, as I said before, my first language, mi primer idioma es inglés, pero yo hablo español. Y estoy aprenderlo. I'm learning. I continue to learn Spanish. I'm not at the point of fluency, but I just continue to learn, continue to work on pronunciation, continue to think in Spanish, dream in Spanish. And, I absolutely love music like Selena Quintanilla and Mark Anthony, Ismael Rivera. It's like my favorite. Celia Cruz. Um, so just continue to learn. And I enjoy that. Life is a journey. And it also makes me think back as well to my time in Italy when I was learning Italian. Has anybody been to Italy? Anybody been to Italy? Anybody been there? I absolutely love Italy and I miss it so much. And I would love to go back and just kind of be there and kind of chill for a bit and maybe go to the south of Italy. Because when I was in Italy many years ago, I was mainly in the north. I was in Milano, and then also I was in Florence, Florencia. And Florence is like just a beautiful artistic city. It's the birthplace of the Italian Renaissance. There is so much color, there's so much life, there's so much magic, and you can really feel the spirit world when you're in Florence. If anybody ever goes, I highly recommend. I mean, there's many things to do in Florence, but there are three things that I recommend more than anything. You have to go to the Duomo, which is a dome in the center of Florence. You have to walk up all the steps. And when you get to the very top there is like a bell tower up there. You can see the entire city. The other thing you have to do is you need to go to the Ponte Vecchio because it's right by the water. It's beautiful and you can stand and people watch. It's so much fun. You also have to go to the Uffizi Museum. I mean, what is there? Like the Botticelli is there. There's so many beautiful works of art. They have cafes too. It's good. And okay, final one, bonus. Piazzale di Michelangelo. You have to walk up these steps to the highest point in Florence, and you can look out and see the entire city. I am reading. Nielti says, "Oh, Nielti. Oh, hola, Nielti. I'm sorry. Disculpe. Niliete. Niliete? Gracias. Muchas gracias. ¿Cómo está? Soy de los Estados Unidos, en Miami, pero en este momento estoy en México. ¿Te gusta tu vida en Paraguay? Do you like your life in Paraguay? Yes, I've never been to Paraguay. Never been. Pero me gusta México, Ecuador, Colombia. eh, pero Paraguay, I've never been. I've never been to Paraguay. A lot of people from Paraguay tonight, huh? Okay. We all have weaknesses, character flaws, and personal hangups. These qualities do not have to define us, but they can give us insight on what we need to work on. They are also a gentle reminder that we are human and part of a life. And part of this life is recognizing that we don't know it all, but we're open to learning. And I think it's so important, it's very important to learn, to grow, um, to teach, but also to be a student. Para mí me gusta aprender idiomas porque en los Estados Unidos muchas personas hablan solo inglés, pero en Miami hablan inglés y italiano, eh, un poco audible. Some people, some people speak Arabic. Oh, Francais. Some people speak French because we have a really big Haitian community. So, I think differences are so important. So important. It's funny. A couple of weeks ago, I went to a skate shop here in Mexico to buy a skateboard because I wanted to learn, I wanted to practice. Oh, gracias. Thank you. Muchas gracias. Gracias por su comments, for your comments. Thank you. Went to a skate shop in Mexico, and guys, I'm losing my train of thought. Un momento. Yo necesito pensar. Un momento. Okay, so I'm losing my train of thought. So I went to a skate shop when I was in Mexico to buy a skateboard because I wanted to learn how to skate. Always wanted to. Oh, hi Arya. I speak English and Spanish, but English is my first language. I'm reading my book, which is in English, but there are a lot of people in the room who speak Spanish, so I was just answering them in Spanish. But you can write in English or Spanish. Um, so I went to skate shop, a really cool skate shop, and I bought a board because I always wanted to learn and never learned. And so I get on the board in the shop, and everything's cool. Like I'm checking out the board, it's good. I'm on it, I'm balancing, and then I fall in the shop, which is so normal actually. Like when you are first learning to skate, you fall a lot, especially if you want to skate and do tricks. So I took it as a positive sign to get the board, which I did. And I have been skating ever since and very happy with it. I don't know what that story, I don't know where I was going with that story. I know I was wanting to say something. Maybe it's about falling down and getting back up. Maybe that's what I meant to say. Um, is it Adia? Adia, do you have any questions? We're talking about spiritual matters. We're talking about gifts. We're talking about abilities. I'm reading from my positive affirmation book. It's called I Am Spirit. It's 51 positive affirmations with writing prompts and meditations to draw those conditions into your life. And the affirmation that we just finished was I am shadow. And so we were talking about lightness, we were talking about dark, and we were talking about how it's all valid. Rather than trying to be perfect, just be who you are, you know? And as a spiritual worker, obviously, I'm connected to spirit, but I am a human being like anyone else. We're human and divine. And so we all have insecurities. We all have times where we get in our heads a little bit. Even this live sometimes is a little hesitant, a little reticent to get on the live. Like, will people watch it? Will people stay in the room? And also, with Spanish being my second language, not my first language, I'm not at the point of fluency in Spanish, though I do speak it. And I try to speak it a lot in practice. Oh, now I know where I was going. So when I was in the skate shop, I was talking to the owner, and the owner was like, "Oh, so you speak Spanish, you speak English?" And I was like, "Yeah, I speak Spanish, but I'm not always speaking it as much because most of the people I work with speak English." And the skate shop owner was like, "Oh, well, try this, when you're out in the street, only speak Spanish. And then when you go home, speak English. But force yourself to speak Spanish, even if you don't know all the words, because what it'll do is it'll up your game and it'll get you closer to the point of fluency." So that is what I do when I'm out and about. I only speak Spanish. And then when I'm at home, if I'm working with clients or if I'm writing, I speak English. But the beautiful thing too is it has inspired me to want to start drawing in and creating more books and more material in Spanish, which I hope to do. And I think I will be doing soon, because Spanish is a beautiful language. And then also, having learned Italian and have not practiced in many years because I haven't been to Italy since, unfortunately, since the panorama. But I hope to go back and get back into Italian too. But for now, Spanish. I was reading, speaking of reading, I was reading a book of poetry by a Chilean poet named Pablo Neruda. He writes he writes beautiful love poems. They call them love poems, but I really feel like they're more lust poems. But there's just something so romantic about his poems. There's a really great collection of them. It's about 20 poems. It's 20 poemas, and there's a song as well. I think it's like 20 poems and a song of desperation. 20 poemas y un canción de, ¿cómo se dice? Desperado. I think it's desperation. I think that's it. Um, but yeah, I will keep reading. You don't have to be perfect to make a difference in the world. Whether you are struggling with addiction, feelings of insecurity, or emotional instability, please try to understand that all of these things can be a part of the human experience. The key is not to hide them, but to understand that in spite of that, you are a perfectly good human being. Everyone has a struggle, and everyone has darkness. It's important to embrace it, affirm we deserve love, and keep living openly. That is when magic happens. And so, before we go to the next affirmation, um, I think it's important to say, you know, you don't have to be perfect in order to be loved. And I think in this day and age, with anyone really, it doesn't matter your gender, your sexuality, it doesn't matter how you identify. I think so many people feel like they have to get themselves to a place of perfection, you know, have to clean themselves up and polish themselves off and dust themselves off before they can be loved. One of the things that I've experienced, going through ups and downs in my life, having money, having no money, illness, health, good health, and everything in between. Love is not about what you physically have or what you can do for people or how you make them look. Love is, you love someone because of who they are, not because of what they can do for you. So if you're surrounded, and I feel like I'm channeling someone who either may be in the room or maybe coming into the room or maybe watching this later. If you are constantly feeling like you can't be yourself with people, or you practically have to like spit shine yourself and get yourself presentable enough or barely acceptable to be in a group of folk where you can't just be and you can't just breathe, then they are not your people, because your people are not going to put you in that situation. Affirmation 16. I am heart. Give your all to what you believe in, no matter how bleak things may seem. If you have a dream, hold it in your heart and push forward. Keep going, keep creating, keep evolving. But most importantly, keep living. Write it out. Dreams work when we do. They come true when we write them down, put dates on them, and put a plan into action. Take a moment to reflect on the year ahead. Where do you want to be at the end of this year, emotionally, financially, or spiritually? Then take a moment to determine how you will get there. What physical steps do you need to take in order to make this dream a reality? Break it down month by month and put dates on your goals. With time, you will see your dream unfold and the future will become your reality. I'm going to pause there. And I'm going to pause there because we're almost at the end of 2025. And I think for a lot of us, this year has felt like 10 years in one. Time has moved so fast, it almost feels like time has collapsed and things are just moving so quickly. But I invite everyone in the room, everyone coming into the room, and everyone who will listen to this in a future broadcast. We're at the end of the year. As we are speaking today, it's November 17th of 2025. We've got a couple months left in 2025. Where do you want to be at the end of the year? What have you done that makes you proud? What have you done that maybe you want to change, you want to shift? What have you done that you want to take a chance on? You know, at the start of this year, I made a commitment to myself to nurture my humanity and my divinity. I made a commitment to myself to nurture my inner artist. I'm a psychic, a medium, an intuitive artist. I write books and music for the soul, and I give spiritual readings to people. But one of the places where I wasn't as actively creative and pushing myself forward was through my art and creative expression. I write, I sing, I paint. And I understood that it was important to open up my voice and to free my voice. So earlier this year, I started reading a book called The Artist Way. It's a book by an artist named Julia Cameron. And it's about a 12-week course, but you can take the entire year. You can do it however you see fit. But it's about unlocking your inner artist. And she likens the inner artist to almost being a child. And I think that that tracks. I think it's true. Our inner artist is very childlike. And she talks about moments of play and moments of fun. But she also talks about disciplining ourselves and committing to our art. So if there is anybody in the room who is an artist or a creative person, I feel like I'm channeling and tapping into somebody that may be a mathematician or in mathematics, because I just got a flash of that. And that might be somebody coming into the room or somebody who will eventually see this. When you first sit down, to learn mathematics or to solve that problem, yes, you may want to solve it, you want to get it right. But there's a level of play and there's a level of discovery that you need to give yourself permission to do in order to get to that finish line, so to speak. The same with music, the same with dance, the same with poetry. You have to push things around the page. You have to write bad songs. You have to write good songs. You have to paint glorious things. You have to paint things that look like these weird little stick figures. You have to do a lot of that to find gold, because you're letting your soul out. You're letting your spirit out. And if you demand perfection every single time, the inner child in you has no room to flourish and grow because everything you do is not going to be perfect. I was thinking back to when I was a student at New York University, Tisch, and one of the hardest things for me when I first started performing was I was such a perfectionist. And the thing is, when you are too much of a perfectionist too soon, it doesn't give you room to play. In order to be great at anything, yes, you have to discipline yourself, but you also have to allow yourself to play. You have to allow yourself to send your joy out, send your spirit out, send your inner child out. And if you are too focused on how you look and it being regimented and it being, if you are too focused on that too soon, you will miss the magic. It's interesting because when I'm thinking about my next book or the next song or whatever I'm going to write or compose, I find that the ideas drop down when I am not making art. The ideas drop down when I've gone out for a walk, or they drop down when I go listen to someone else's music. That's when the ideas and the creativity comes. It's just when I'm out and about, window shopping, people watching. A couple nights ago, I went to see a show in the park behind the church that I go to mass at sometimes. And it's actually a fire show. They're called Fuego Cancun. If you're ever in Cancun, Mexico, they call it pulley, doing pulley. It's like a fire show, fire throw. It's called Fuego Cancun, and I went to see the show, and it was great. And they were in the park, and they were passing the hat. We all gave donations, and some of us took videos, which maybe I will put my video up on on a post here so you guys can see it. But it was so much fun, right? And in that moment, I wasn't making art necessarily. I was part of the art. I was the audience. And there's such a beautiful experience between the artist and the audience, that we're both a part of the artistic process, whether you're standing on the stage surrounded by light, whether you're standing in the audience watching. I think back to the days when I was a performer, specifically overseas. And one of the things that I loved so much was performing for children and seeing their faces light up and seeing them get excited. Because I can remember being a little child and seeing my first shows and knowing on some level that maybe I could do that. Maybe there was a future there for me. And sure enough, there was, in New York and then in Europe many years later, and then traveling the world. Art gave me so much. It still gives me so much. And for me, art is my way of touching God. So whether it is writing books or writing music, whether it is doing readings for all of you, that's the thread, that's the line that connects the soul to God. It connects us to that holy energy. So I'm going to stay on a little bit longer. Oh, and I want to read something. This last part, and we're going to do one more affirmation. With time, you will see your dream unfold, and the future will become your reality. So that was the last part of affirmation 16, I am heart. You have to see it and feel it and envision it for it to be true. I also think specifically when it comes to art, but anything really, in order for something to grow, you have to have a healthy relationship with it. So if there are artists who are listening to this, just understand, in order to go far with your art, you must have a healthy relationship with it. Figure out what your writing schedule is, your reading schedule, or whatever that might be. And it may vary year to year. right? Like when you're in performance, it's going to be very different than when you're not doing a show. Um, I think for myself as a writer and as a spiritual worker, I mean, I think I'm pretty much always writing, even if I don't have a pen and paper in hand, or even if I don't have my computer. I'm always writing because I'm always watching and taking in things. And I think the life that we live, that is the material for the art. So the point I was trying to make is live a full life, openly, fully, happily, joyfully. Um, Understand you're going to make mistakes. Understand you're going to fall down. Understand there are going to be times when you wish you could have done things differently. We all go through that. But at your core, just know who you are, know what your line is, know what you believe in, and strive to the best of your ability to keep living your life as that. So you can do one more affirmation, and then I think maybe we call it a night. Affirmation 17. I'm thankful. There are so many things to be thankful for, so much to rejoice about. Sometimes it's the small things, your morning coffee or how the sunlight streams through your window. Other times it is bigger things, falling deeply in love, traveling the world, creating the life of your dreams. No matter how large or small, there is always something to be thankful for. Amen. Write it out. Look for the blessings and look for the little things. Writing them down can be a wonderful reminder. Make a list of things you are thankful for today. No matter how big or small, when you put them together, it's a great big life. And so I think we're going to end it there. Gratitude, being thankful. It doesn't mean that everything, at least on the surface, appears to be working out exactly as you want. But understand that everything is coming together and it will come together. You're a spark of God in human form. We all are. Each and every one of us is a piece of God experiencing it itself. We are a piece of God experiencing God. So the God in me sees the God in you, but also the human in me sees the human in you. And if you knew everything, you wouldn't be here right now. So, and I feel like I'm speaking to somebody. Sometimes in life, we make choices based out of fear or survival or the need or the want to be accepted and not be rejected. And then as we mature and we grow and we evolve, we realize those choices that we made do not really reflect healthy self esteem and don't really reflect the person we want to be or believe ourselves to be. Do not beat yourself up for the choices that you made when you were in survival mode. Give yourself grace, hold yourself accountable, and vow to do more, to do better, to behave in a more evolved way. I think about 5-year-old me, or 6-year-old me, or 8-year-old me. And I want to live my life in such a way that I make the younger version of me proud, but I make the older version of me proud. And I think that's it. You know, strive to make the inner child in you proud and strive to make that 80, 90, 100, 150, 120 you proud. You can't make everyone happy. you can just only do your best. And remember that life is not about perfection, it is about progression and evolution. So I think we are there. I want to thank everybody who has come in and out of the rooms. Gracias por todo, mis amigos y amigas. Thank you, my friends, for coming in and out of the room. So many people from South America, pero muchas gracias por todo, por tu energía, for your energy, and for kind of just being here. I do appreciate that. And I appreciate you all chatting with me in English. And gracias por mi gente que habla en español. Gracias para practicarlo conmigo. Thank you for helping me to practice. I'm still learning, as we all are. But, this is me learning. This is you learning. This is us sharing. And if you would like to read my book, you can find it in NicoleBowman.biz. You can find it anywhere books are sold. Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, an ebook, print, and audio version. For readings and more, you can also find me at NicoleBowman.biz. And I have many, many videos on this page on psychic development, growth, etc. So if there is anything that you would like to explore, you can find it below. Also, I'm always open to suggestions. Is there a podcast you would like me to create? Is there a live you would like me to do? Is there something about the lives that you like, something that you don't? Mainly the lives are in English. With time, I might do more lives exclusively in Spanish. We'll see. But let me know what you guys would like. Write that in the comments and let me know. So I think that we are there, and I think we are going to call it a night with this live. And I thank you guys so much.